Thanks, Shaheen.
Thank you.
In 5.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all keeping safe. Cross. So
I'm
today
just going
I'm
to
going to
jump
discuss.
in quickly, Shaheen. Sorry,
Thank
it's
you.
we just need
Thank
to
you.
say thank you to Shah.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I could see that you would. If you do that, just give it a pause, and then
Okay.
count down in your head, and then just start again. That's fine.
All right.
Alrighty, good luck. In 5.
Thank you so much, Tushar, for the kind introductions. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all keeping well and safe. I'm Shaheen Alofer. I'm the Regional Development Manager for Partners for CX Lifecycle Services for Middle East and Africa. In this session, we will be discussing how to drive success with CX. So I'm sure a lot of you are well versed with the overall methodology, the metrics, and so on. But let's see what's new in FY22. So, as we all know, Cisco wants to reimagine the customer's experience journey. We have moved a long way from just reselling our products and services to actually creating a strategic roadmap and development for our customers. So, as we do that, we're continuously optimizing, learning, adopting on the solutions we've sold, and ultimately getting that to a point of retention for the customers and ensuring that the product is well adopted and in time for renewals subsequently. Now, this is our vision. This is a journey which we want to take with our partners because they are a very significant part of our strategy. And this is our journey to ensure that we make the best of our customers' experience. So, as we all know, we've gone through one of the most significant transformation I think we've ever lived in our lifetimes. The world before the pandemic was very different to the ones we are living today. The world before required, travel at top-notch speed, and we were just doing what we were doing, and it was pretty much, in fact, today we think about it, life was extremely different back then. But I think the what happened was the world today we live in has a shift in the never normal, right? It's just whatever we thought was normal is now in the past, and now we're looking at completely new normal in terms of lifestyle, in terms of business models, and the overall economies of the world itself. So I think we are right front and center of how we can imagine the next set of generations or years, if you call it, of the world. So as I think transformation is a constant evolution, right? Now I think I can really relate to how we are doing at Cisco in CX. The world before Cisco or CX is was just a hardware, software, and a services cell, right? So today we're looking at partners and customers where we want more customers, more partners that deliver proactive, predictive, and software related services. So, and in order to do that, I think this is the correct place to be, utilizing CX technology and so on. And I think we have a great session on to understand how we exactly do that. So that's the transformation what we're looking at, right? So the world is changing, so is Cisco, so is the models, and so on. Why should a partner change? I think this is very significant thought we should have across as our partners. Why should my business model as a partner change on how we think, do our business with our customers? The simple point is profitability. Profitability today is highly transactional. You have your attach rate, you have your renewal rate, and that's about it, right? And this is something what we need to start thinking about and how this kind of evolves in the future. And if we sort of break it down into four different pillars of what's the practice we have today in services and software? What's the portfolio we are looking at in adapting and adopting as we move across? What's the delivery mix of our services and software portfolio as we deliver it to our customers? And what are the margin drivers, the most important thing for us as a partner in order to move this across? So this is something I think we should start looking at in a deeper dive, right? So, what's a practice today? Attach, renew. But I think in the future, our profitability will mostly focus on how much are we adopting and what are the outcomes are we looking at from as a result of that solution we've sold. And from a portfolio discussion, we are looking at support offers of just reselling SmartNet, PSS, solution support, and so on. But I think we need to have a more life cycle approach to what we are selling in terms of portfolio mix, right? So how well are we looking at adopting that service? How is that service actually being utilized by the customer instead of just drop shipping that service across? And the delivery mix. I think that's an important shift in how we as Cisco might start doing it in the future. Is yes, Cisco can scale and exchange value with certain strategic customers, but then partners do have the relationships in those strategic customers on different partner delivered services, right? So I think that in the future could get more and more richer on how partner delivers those services. So I think it's really important on how we look at our own delivery mix of services as we do it. Because often we do understand that these kind of conversations lead to where Cisco is and where partners, and there's sort of, I wouldn't say conflicts, but it would be more of where the opportunity lies, or is Cisco stepping on our partner's shoes? So I think that is a more that needs to be looked at in a glass lens of how that portfolio shifts from being more Cisco delivered to partner delivered. Stay tuned on that for a lot of opportunities and announcements. And margin drivers. I think I cannot emphasize more on how today we are so transaction led in our approaches of yes, we need to get certain attach, certain renewals, certain services software percentage, that I think in the future it will be more on analytics, extensibility, and so on. So it's just not going to be reselling of services, but how well you're going to utilize Cisco's AI, ML, and delivering those extensibility services in the future for your customers, right? So you clearly understand where the business model is shifting to. I wouldn't say it's going to be a day, 2 days, or a quarter, but eventually, as you see the change in programs, change in market conditions, and so on, slowly the shift is going to be more towards how you're going to adopt and adapt to the new set of services. And this kind of approach or practice is going to have clearly ripple effects as you move on the CX journey, right? So every action you do in terms of all the four pillars I've just discussed is going to have a lot of ripple effect, positive, of course, on how you deliver value to the customer. Increase of adoption value is one thing. Cost savings is another. Capturing growing TAM. I mean, you can clearly imagine today your retail store in the neighborhood had to go digital because of the pandemic. And that's something which they would have never thought in the past before, right? Because of the customer just getting into the store and buying stuff. So they had to go digital. So what today's partners opportunities today could not imagine the opportunities that can be tomorrow. So I think all these things will enable you to expand your footprint and capture that growing total addressable market, right? So these are a couple of things I think we as a partner and Cisco should start putting our expertise together and to understand how this is going to go forward, right? So I think an important thing to think about as we evolve. Right. So as we evolve, any evolution, any transformation definitely requires certain structure to be in place before we actually go ahead, right? We need to start strengthening up and being and strategizing on how do we go the next steps, because transformation clearly is a team sport, right? So we need our teams to be upskilled, to regroup, to strategize, to understand what's our goal ultimately, so that we do not get lost in the process. So lifecycle partner model was created to with tools and resources to help you transform in this journey for partners. And it consists of three basic stuff. We have monetize. How do you monetize? How do you make money? How do you operate? That is, how do you transform on a day-to-day basis? Do you still have the same sort of conversations with your customers and Cisco, or do you actually change and the way you present? And how do you upskill your teams? What is the structure you need to ensure that these things remain, upskill your team and so on, right? So I think this is something that will help you in the transformation that Cisco is talking about. Now, let's start with the first most important conversation: monetize. So, today we do have two different types of incentives that will help you start monetizing, monetizing software and services. You have the life cycle incentives, which is for software, and then you have CSPP, which is for services. So I'm sure all of you have attended the new improved CSPP program, which has evolved into what we call a more recurring revenue. So I think we'll discuss that shortly. And so does life cycle incentives. So let's do a bit of deep dive on how that works. So I'm sure all of you are aware about CSPP rebates, called the Cisco Services Program rebates, and then where you need to do certain attach renewals and so on, right? Now, what I want you to start thinking about is, what if we put all these rebates, which we have seen more in a transactional base, in a life cycle approach, right? Today, let's say you have a product or a BOQ that have been sold, then that pretty much guarantees your attach rate. You start delivering, so that becomes more of a PSS rebates for all PSS partners. And ultimately, once you've delivered and done what you've said with the customer renews it with you, and there you go, you earn a couple of rebates in that. And then if you have a multi-year, you could add on to that multi-year rebate. Now, couple of rebates, what you also have are the AS premium rebates, which is for business critical services, and your TCV and MCV rebates. So those are a couple of changes that happened in the recent CSPP updates, where most of your new programs like your success tracks have gone where you sell it for a total contract value. And if you're a CX specialized partner, which we will be touching shortly on that program, get into MCV rebates, right? So a lot of changes, if you can see, it's going life cycle. You're going to be being paid on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, maybe in the future. So I think what you need to start thinking today is, does my team, right, have this approach of a life cycle practice in services so I can maximize my opportunity of rebates, right? Who in my team is actually ensuring that we maximize these rebates and look at the missed opportunity, um, if there is any in any of these rebates? Have I reached the required amount of net but that Cisco owes me as a result of maximizing the rebates, or is there any opportunity more, right? And am I upselling all the new set of services that Cisco is asking me to do? So, a couple of thoughts I'm going to leave you with on this slide, saying that this is the approach you need to take when you're starting to look at services as a practice, right? And then, of course, comes on the delivery and so on. But I think the foundation is key, where you can maximize your profitability from a life cycle approach as against more transactional led, right? Now, going to the life cycle incentives, I think one of the path breakers or icebreakers of the life cycle practice at Cisco, where most of your incentives are based on what is the value you sell to the customer when you've sold an EA, when you've sold a software license, and how well it's been adopted with the customers. I think it's really important you understand and align your teams who do this in terms of getting those rebates in. So if I can just build the slide and then we can talk about it. Is first, for example, let's say you've sold an EA about $200,000 of DNA center or data center, what you call it. So if you sort of build a plan saying this is what I'm going to do with the DNA center EA, this is the amount of switches that are activated and so on. So you will, automatically get around $7,000 just for actually activating all the switches under that DNA center EA and pretty much adopting and putting that plan in. And then once you get into the life cycle of adopt, where you sit and discuss with the customer that as a result of this solution, this is what we'll be adopting, and this is what the KPIs look like as a result of the solution. And at the end of a year, we will be looking at closing this out with you, right? So these kind of conversations which you've never had with the customer before, I think you need to start looking at from that perspective as well. right? And that's where the incentives you get from Cisco. And then ultimately also you have the expand incentive that's sort of going through a sunset right now, but I think we can start looking at how we adopt and how we use and activate those licenses. Now again, incentives are good, but then what is the approach we have as partners toward these incentives? Do I have a practice in place? Because as long as I don't have a habit or a practice, it's not going to be easy for me to absorb and I keep losing out on those opportunities. So I think these are some things that you need to sit down with your pre-sales teams, with your post-sales team, with your engineering teams to understand what are the eligible use cases today that I can map with this kind of incentives? Do I maximize, use, adopt, and expand into a scalable practice with my customers and internal teams? And do I sell with defined business outcomes? I think this is really key. If you look at the first slide, what I said about profitability is that can I, if you look at what you are selling and ensuring that the customer adapts, adopts, and continuously optimizes, I think that's where you have an excellent practice in place with the customer. And Cisco pretty much rewards you for all the things that you do as an activity on that, right? And that's something that you need to align and ensure that it's in place for you. Right. So just to give you an example, these are the different phases of lifecycle incentives where you start onboarding, implementing, activating, adopting, and ultimately expanding again. Again, expand is pretty much going into the sunset. So we will stop with adopt, and you can see the percentages and the eligibility amounts that the maximum eligibility amounts of rebates paid out in each activity that you do. So that's, let's say, from a partner perspective, what's in it for me. But what's in it for the customer? So if you look at the vertical column, you can see that the customer not only realizes the value of software that's sold in the customer's account, but I think they also start going deeper and deeper into why the solution actually was sold, right? And ultimately, the actual outcome of the whole exercise is you become the most preferred partner to the customer because of all the things you have done in ensuring those solutions are adopted. But then they also start looking at expanding the opportunities in the next phase as well with you. Yeah. And of course, ultimately, renewals and all those things become relatively easier, and the conversations become very different when new architecture and new services need to be discussed. So I think this is really key from a practice point of view. Yes, this is again a transactional type of incentive, but I think we need to start looking at it from a holistic customer success kind of opportunity. Right. Great. So I think those are some great things we talked about on practice. But then we need to start looking at, oh, great, Cisco. I think those are some great incentives. But then how do I actually start organizing myself, right? What are the trainings? What are the certifications? Because let's say today my team is more technically focused. They are experts on data center, enterprise networking, and switching and routing and so on. Well, these kind of things require different type of skill sets. So what do I do? So I'm sure all of you are aware of the new set of specializations. So this is something called architecture specializations, which we have had for a very long time. Cisco is one of the pioneers in these architecture specializations. So what we've come across is the business practice specialization called the customer experience specializations, the ones that happen on the entire practice. How do you build a practice of uh, the defined business outcomes and ensuring that those solutions are adopted and adapted at the customers infrastructure. So let's have a look at that in a deeper dive. So how do you create your customer experience edge, right? So what are the things that you need to do as you go along the CX specialization journey? So it requires three different capabilities. One, of course, you need to look at people, processes, and tools, where you need to allocate certain resources from your team as customer success managers and renewal managers, and of course, an executive sponsor who's going to look after this whole exercise. And then you need to have certain level of processes aligned, because definitely this is a different way of doing business and ensuring customer experience. So it definitely requires customer success methodology, renewal management process, and certain metrics and business KPIs, right? And in order to, as we look at all the business capabilities, we also need to look at tools that can help you. So these are certain tools that can be AI, ML, and a lot of tools in the industry that can support you on this journey. And at the end of end of that, you have a validation that will support the CX specialization, right? So these are some of the capabilities and requirements for the customer experience specialization. And of course, there are two flavors, right? So you have the standard one where you require certain amount of people, process, and tools. And if you look at the advanced level, you need a higher number of CSMs, three CSMs, one renewal manager, one customer success practice lead, an executive sponsor, right? So it goes to the next level of actually delivering that outcomes for the customer and so on. And then you need to have certain level of customer success methodology and a couple of other processes. So in the tools perspective, again, it requires automation, right? So it needs to sort of analyze what is the partner's focus, or what is a partner's vertical segments or market segments where you actually function, and then it'll create those kind of focus of would be the focus, and this is the outcomes and technology that needs to be adopted in those customers' premises. So it definitely requires certain automation processes as you create that edge for you, right? And you definitely have an audit, a physical, a virtual audit right now, which is pretty much a whole day audit as you go through the advanced level. So what are the benefits? Again, right? Every activity and everything that we ask you to do definitely has its benefits at the end of it. So you can, as for now, start differentiating that you are a CX specialized partner in the market, and market has slowly started to understand that a CX specialized partner will go beyond than just reselling my solutions or Cisco solutions, right? So these are some of the things that you can do. Life cycle incentives, as you already know, you will be eligible for all the life cycle incentives of Adopt on that, and you don't have any, you have certain caps, but you can extend into that. And then you have the CSPP rebates on certain capabilities on multi-year and MCV and TCV for success tracks. And for BCS 3.0, you have certain upfront discounts as well, right? So similar for advanced level and so on. Now, the most important part of CX specialization, what I would touch upon, is the journey, right? So I understand that it is a gold requirement for partners who are gold, that they need to be certified by April 7th. So if we do a backward engineering, right? So it takes a good 6 to 12 months for any partners on CX specialization, or for advanced, it takes a good, I would say, 10 to 18 months to get in all the things required. So because it requires people, alignment, organization roles and responsibilities, how do you align the overall company, investments, costs, resources, and so on. So if we are looking at a date of April 7th, and we sort of look at where we are today, I think partners who are gold, we need to start looking at starting that journey if you've not started already today, and look at what are the gaps, what are the things that you can look at, and so on, right? So these are some of the things that you need to start looking at a faster pace, right? So the last leg of my conversation is operate. So I think that's good. You're outlining everything on top of profitability, on customer success, adoption, and so on. But what are the things, or what are the tools we will look at, and how do I operate on a day-to-day basis, right? What are the things that we look at in terms of services, portals, and APIs? Now, again, let's look at what is our goal as Cisco and partner. As Cisco and partners, we need to optimize and looking at our customer experience for our customers, right? And looking at maximizing our recurring revenue. Now, as we maximize our recurring revenue in terms of software, we need to shift the way our services are being delivered to our customers, right? So today, let's say they're more of break fix. Yes, something is broken, then we go and fix it. We have open a couple of tag cases and have an extremely reactive approach to the customer. And we invest a lot of people, engineers, and so on. So pretty much limited visibility on what we are doing, and there's no dashboards of sort. So we need to move away from that, right? We are living in a world of highly digitized capabilities of AI and ML and so on. We need to be more predictive on how we are going to do our services delivery with our customers. So we need to be proactive, predictive, people learning insights, and digital. So we need to have those capabilities. So these are the things that we are starting to move away from into life cycle approaches on the services modernization capabilities as well. So what is a partner go to market in this case, right? So how do I say, all right, yes, we need to go and modernize our services. What are the different things that we need to start doing? So today we do sell SmartNet, solution support, PSS, and so on. So if we have an existing BOQ, right, so of a SmartNet and so on, so I think we need to start thinking, what is the outcome, or what are the things that a customer can do with these kind of services, and how can a partner help deliver the outcomes needed, right? So it's just not a bunch of products and then we attach those PSS and software, but what is the delivery model these kind of services will enable the customer? So those are the things that need to start expanding on those resale success portfolio. And then comes the managed kind of services where you have, let's say, your BCSs, your success tracks, and your professional services, where we will have an extremely enriched interactions where the customer can actually see on adoption and services to understand and go the next level of customer interaction. Now, all these things, all these things require portals, right? We need to again be very digital in what we look at, right? So we definitely cannot go with Excel sheets on these are the number of tag cases open and these are the things that we will be able to deliver and these are your troubleshooting links. But then we need to link all the things that we are selling with portals and APIs and deliver a completely different digital experience for Cisco partner and customer. So this is pretty much where Cisco is looking to go the distance along with their partners and deliver that sort of customer experience. And what are the success portfolio that come behind it? Because I'm not going to touch upon everything, but I'm sure all of you are aware that we look at support, guide, operate, and of course, everything is going to come under a portfolio called success tracks. Now, think about it today. Where is most of the partners focused is today, right? So if any partner starts to think about where will most of my business or 90% of my business fall upon is pretty much on support, right? Solution support, SmartNet Total Care, software support. So the whole technical support will look at the basic 90% of your business today. Now, a couple of things we need to start thinking about is how do we go to a BCS, a success track, get into more cloud and unified and managed detection response. So these kind of services we need to start thinking because those are the kind of the products that will be supporting these kind of services. So I think that's something we need to look at in the future, because if you look at the green line, which is extremely important here, is everything here can be scaled through partners. There's nothing in Cisco services that cannot be scaled through partners or cannot drive that value exchange. So this is extremely important as we go out and enable our partners to drive that level of service along with us. And I know I touched upon the clouds and the APIs. So all of our digital tools that are available, like the partner cloud or the CX cloud and the digital CX IB, and as well as our digital integration platforms, can all be integrated to your platforms through APIs. So we have, in fact, invested a lot of these tools where partners can easily, in a couple of clicks, integrate these kind of tools into your ERPs, and you will have a whole visibility tool out there to make sure that you can actually see at which adoption point is your customer. Is it just in use? Is it just, they're adopting? These are the number of licenses that have not been activated, and so on. So these are things that we are heavily investing in to make sure that the visibility is there with the customer and the partner once the customer confirms. And there you go. And we can start looking at building the next level of partner extensible services with these kind of analytics and insights. Right. So I think we've sort of outlined the tools, the processes, the organizational structure that should be in the profitability in various forms. But what I cannot stop to emphasize is the practice that should be built before all this can be stepped up. Right. So the practice is an extreme important component of this as you go the next level, because we want all of you to be best in class. We want all of you to have a profit center mindset, definitely build a practice, sell with defined business outcome, position lifecycle services, position adoption services, and so on. So every time there is a sales team meeting and there is a opportunity meeting, I think you need to start thinking about why the customer is requiring, what is the experience we can provide as partners, what are the services and software that is a part of this deal, what are the outcomes and what are the adoption opportunities for each of our partners, what are the different set of services in terms of success tracks, business critical service, and so on we can provide. Right. So these are a couple of things we need to start thinking, because what we want you to do is not only be best in class with the customers you deliver, but start capturing new TAM in your areas, right? New opportunities, new customers that where you've never imagined that you can be a part of that customer base as well. So these are a couple of things that we want to do. And to do all that, we have our distributors that can help you leverage in practice building. So we have our CX specialized distributors that can help you augment the gaps you have as a result of the practice. As why customer success, what's a specialization, how do you build a practice, how do you mentor CSMs, because extremely important. Because CX practice is definitely, I wouldn't say it's an easy way, but definitely it's a very outcome driven approach. And we are all here as Cisco and distributors and our partner led enablement teams to help you go that journey, because this is the journey we all feel that it's going to be a very successful one. So please do reach out to Comstock and distributors into enabling you from where you are today to where you should be in terms of all the things that we had discussed in the past 30 minutes. With that, thank you so much. And I think we have a quiz at the end of the session. So over to you, Comstock.
Well done. That was
Thank
phenomenal.
you so much, Shaheen. Yes, it was good. It was great. I liked it. Uh, yeah. Do you are you happy with everything you've spoken? Any
I
bits?
think so. Did I make mistake? I know I did, but I mean, was it visible? I don't know.
No, I mean it's good. I mean mistakes are proof that it gives partners confidence that it is a live event. So some
Okay.
mistakes are welcome. But anything, if you feel you are not happy about, we always are okay to retake it. Like even if it's a small section, that's fine. Yeah, I think I just want to, Jackie, would you be able to just review the ending part of the recording? Is that possible?
Sure. No
Okay.
problem.
In the meantime, Shaheen, what I would also require from you is three things. That are the first one is the quiz questions, of course. So it will be like an MCQ. So the question and four options to choose from, which out of which one has to be correct, one option needs to be correct. So there's five of these questions based on everything you've covered. The second thing I require is the slide deck you just shared, because what happens is sometimes because we've recorded it, a few slides could be blur. So if we see that in the recording that your slide deck is blur, we would replace it with the slide you share with us. It could be easily replaced. And the third thing is a high resolution photo of yours, because we would require this to be added into the main lobby of the event with the speakers of the day. So that's where I will require these three
How
things.
many questions would you require?
5 quiz questions,
5. Mhm.
multiple choice. Out of 4 options, out of them, one has to be correct. I'll also send you an email so that you can reply back to me with these three
Yeah, that'll
things.
be great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure. No
I know I'll
worries.
forget.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank
Yeah, that's
you.
all. And I was also wondering, Shine, do you have any video on CX, like on YouTube or anything that is
Yeah, I think we'll have. We'll have.
okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Yeah. If you could just play the ending part, Jackie. Maybe the
Sure.
last 2 minutes.
To build a practice. How do you mentor CSMs is extremely important because CX practice is definitely, I wouldn't say it's an easy
Is
way,
this where
but
you want it
definitely
from,
it's a
Snable?
Yeah,
very
that's fine.
outcome driven
Cool.
approach. And we are all here as
Maybe just put
Cisco
it on
and
full screen.
distributors and our partner led enablement teams to help you go that journey because this is the journey we all feel that it's going to be a very successful one. So please do reach out to Comstock and distributors into enabling you from where you are today to where you should be in terms of all the things that we had discussed in the past 30 minutes. With that, thank you so much. And I think we have a quiz at the end of the session. So over to you, Comstock.
Just two things. I think in the end, I would want a bit different. Is
Okay.
Shaheen, when you say please reach out to Comsto and the other distributors, I think
Ah,
if you can just
sorry.
say reach out to the
Comstock.
Comsto team, that would
Okay.
be just that much. And when you talk about the quiz, if you can say don't use the word I think, just say we now have the quiz or stay tuned for the quiz. Just
Okay.
these two things. Jackie, if you can just tell Shaheen where to start from, so she can just retake that last 1 minute only.
Sure, sure, sure.
Let's just hear what she's saying last, so she knows where what she should
Okay, cool.
say.
I'm just going to put it back on.
Yeah.
Distributors that can help you augment the gaps you have as a result of
A
the
bit
practice.
behind.
A bit back.
Yeah, I think because she
I've
already
never
mentioned about
imagined
distributors.
that you can be a part of that customer base as well. So these are a couple of things that we monitor. And to do all that, we have our distributors.
So what if we start from there before you go to
Yeah.
that? So
Okay.
Yeah.
we'll finish at the end of
Just
that
this slide.
previous slide and then start from, and then because this is nice because you finish and you go and so you can
Exactly.
continue with that, like, because there's a good gap there.
Yeah.
So Shaheen, if you can just start from that one,
Okay.
and then yeah, that's great.
Share again.
Share. Okay, just need to go into full presentation mode.
Yeah, 1 minute. No. Why is it not? I'm already sharing.
Yes, you are. You just need to change the presentation mode. Okay, that's great. I'm going to put Schnabel and myself backstage, and you can start when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay. In
And to do all that, we have Comstore to help you into the next generation of CX practice building because we definitely need to leverage our Comstore team to augment the gaps we have on CX specialization. They can help you understand why customer success matters. What are the different dynamics of the CX specialization? Build a practice, mentor your CSMs, position EAs to maximize revenue and target the right customers. Because I think this journey is extremely important, and the team is there to help you support along that journey. And please do leverage that team's expertise because they are a CX specialized partner. And I think they have great opportunities to take you across as you scale into the next generation of CX specialization. With that, we have a quiz coming up on the presentation. Stay tuned and over to you, Comstor. Thank you so much for listening in.
Yes, that was good. So Jackie, you'll just have to probably take a note of editing that video
Got it.
while putting it together. Yeah, just if you can just make a note of the minutes, that should be
At the
fine.
time, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
just definitely do that. Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shaheen. I was speaking to Anjum. We had a invest review call, and we were just giving her the update of all the activities, and we told her that we've already started the recording sessions for Imagine. And she's like, "So who are the speakers you have?" And I was just telling her we got Shaheen. I'm actually recording with her. I said on Monday, and she's like, "How did you even manage to